Hello. Welcome to Criminal Law Series of Law School Buddy. Today's reading will cover the Revised Penal Code, Book 2, Title 2, Crimes Against the Fundamental Law of the State. The main focus will be the essential elements of crimes, from Article 124 until Article 133. Let's begin. Article 124. Arbitrary detention. Elements of the crime. 1. That the offender is a public officer or employee. 2. That he detains a person. 3. That the detention is without legal ground. The legal grounds for the detention of persons are 1. The commission of a crime, or 2. Violent insanity or other ailment requiring compulsory confinement of the patient in hospital. Article 125. Delay in the delivery of detained persons to the proper judicial authorities. Elements of the crime. 1. That the offender is a public officer or employee. 2. That he has detained a person for some legal ground. 3. That he fails to deliver such person to the proper judicial authorities within 12 hours for light penalties, or their equivalent, 18 hours for correctional penalties, or their equivalent, and 36 hours for afflictive penalties, or their equivalent. Article 126. Delaying release. Punishable acts. 1. By delaying the performance of a judicial or executive order for the release of a prisoner. 2. By unduly delaying the service of the notice of such order to said prisoner. 3. By unduly delaying the proceedings upon any petition for the liberation of such person. Elements of the crime. 1. That the offender is a public officer or employee. 2. That there is a judicial or executive order for the release of a prisoner or detention prisoner, or that there is a proceeding upon a petition for the liberation of such person. 3. That the offender, without good reason, delays either the service of the notice of such order to the prisoner, the performance of such judicial or executive order for the release of the prisoner, or the proceedings upon a petition for the release of such person. Article 127. Expulsion. Punishable acts. 1. By expelling a person from the Philippines. By compelling a person to change his residence. Elements of the crime. 1. That the offender is a public officer or employee. That he expels any person from the Philippines, or compels a person to change his residence. That the offender is not authorized to do so by law. Exception: there is no expulsion in cases of ejectment, expropriation, or when the penalty of destierro is imposed. Article 128. Violation of domicile. Punishable acts. 1. By entering any dwelling against the will of the owner thereof. 2. By searching papers or other effects found therein without the previous consent of such owner. 3. By refusing to leave the premises after having surreptitiously entered said dwelling, and after having been required to leave the same. Elements of the crime. 1. That the offender is public officer or employee. 2. That he is not authorized by judicial order to enter the dwelling and or to make a search for papers and for other effects. Qualifying circumstances. 1. If committed at night time. 2. If any papers or effects not constituting evidence of a crime are not returned immediately after a search is made by the offender. Article 129. Search maliciously and abuse service of legally obtained. Punishable act. 1. Procuring a search warrant without just cause. 2. Exceeding his authority, or by using unnecessary severity in executing a search warrant. Legally procured. Elements of the first act. 1. That the offender is a public officer or employee. 2. That he procures a search warrant. 3. That there is no just cause. Elements of the second act. 1. That the offender is a public officer or employee. 2. that he has legally procured a search warrant. 3. That he exceeds his authority or uses unnecessary severity in executing the same. Article 130. Searching domicile without witnesses. Elements of the crime. 1. That the offender is a public officer or employee. 2. That he searches the domicile, papers, or other belongings of any person. 3. That he is armed with a warrant. 4. That the owner, or any member of his family, or 2 witnesses residing in the same locality, are not present. Article 131. Prohibition, interruption, and dissolution of peaceful meetings. Punishable acts. 1. Prohibiting, interrupting, or dissolving, without legal ground, the holding of a peaceful meeting. 2. Hindering any person from joining any lawful association or from attending any of its meetings. 3. Prohibiting or hindering any person from addressing, either alone or together with others, any petition to the authorities for the correction of abuses or redress of grievances. Elements of the crime. 1. That the offender is a public officer. 2. That he performs any of the acts mentioned above. Article 132. Interruption of religious worship. Punishable acts. 1. That the offender is a public officer or employee. 2. That religious ceremonies or manifestations of any religion are about to take place, or are going on. 3. That the offender prevents or disturbs the same. Note that violence or threats are qualifying circumstances. Article 133. Offending religious feelings. Punishable acts. 1. That the acts complained of were performed in a place devoted to religious worship. It is not necessary that there is a religious worship, or during the celebration of any religious ceremony, that the acts must be notoriously offensive to the feelings of the faithful. And that is the end. If this audiobook has helped you, please like our video and subscribe to our channel. For more topics on criminal law, please check out Law School Buddy YouTube channel. Thank you so much.